Hello, thank you so much for being here today. I am going to show you in this video how to paint a watercolor honeybee. I asked my followers on Instagram what tutorial they wanted to see today, and this was the obvious winner. So I went out to my garden because they are all over my loofah plant to get some inspiration, took some pictures, and we're going to get started painting this little guy. So we're going to start by sketching out our honeybee, and with this particular painting, I would suggest having a reference picture unless you're super familiar with bees, because it really just helps to make sure you're getting the proportions right, you got all the sections right. This particular bee has just one wing on each side, some have two. I also wanted to make sure I get the stripe placement right, and then later when I'm painting, I wanted to make sure I got the coloring right with everything. Having a reference picture also helps with proportions to make sure that, you know, the eyes are just the right size and the legs are going the right direction. So whenever we start with a watercolor painting, we start with the lightest color. So we are starting with this light yellow on the bee, but also in this middle section on my reference picture, the yellow and the black are pretty mixed together. So I wanted to make sure that before the yellow dries, that I get some blending going on with some black. So the outer portion of the wing has a darker line, and then we will fill in the lighter lines later towards the end. So now I'm just continuing to add the yellow around the bee and keeping it in a pretty light wash. As I'm filling in those stripes, I'm not really concerned about staying within the lines because the black lines will help even everything out. So this black that I'm painting around the head eventually needs to be a lighter black than these eyes. So you can see I'm painting it black, but then I'm also taking some of the paint away from around the edges of the eyes. So if the eyes are also black, it will just be too dark that will blend in and you won't be able to see the distinction in the eyes. I'm also painting some black details around the middles, adding more black to the midsection because on my reference picture, this portion of the bee is pretty muddled with the black and the yellow. Now that the yellow in the lower section of the bee is totally dry, I can go in and add the black stripes. Now, the black stripes are a lot more crisp, so it adds that definition that we lost when we were all over the place with the yellow stripe. So the black really helps us clean everything up and it starts to really take the form of the bee. The wing on the right is overlapping the lower section of the bee just a little bit. And so you'll see in a minute, I do lighter colors of black and yellow in that wing section because I want the appearance that the wing is covering it and is taking some of the color definition away. So I'm just continuing to add more details and also filling in the eyes with the darkest black that I can, just really makes them pop out and you can see where the eyes are. On the stripes of the bee, I painted the left side just a little bit darker for definition because it makes it look like light is coming through on the right side. And here I'm just adding a really light wash of the stripe that's under the wing. So with the legs, I kept the sections really loose. I think that makes them look really good. Everything that's under the wing will be light, and then anything that's outside of the wing area will be dark. So I'm just going through with a light wash and then using paper towel and my brush to pick up more paint. If everything that the wing is covering is the same darkness, you lose the illusion of the wing actually being there. So you want that feeling of lightness for anything the wing is covering. And I'm just continuing to go through and add more yellow, more depth, more color on that left side of those stripes. So with the wings, I want the first couple of lines at the top to be a little bit more obvious, and I'm just randomly throwing them in there. Make sure to use your reference photo for an idea of how they're placed and the kind of shapes that they make. But the lines that I'm making towards the middle and the end are more random. We don't want anything too exact because it won't look realistic, right? We want it to look really light and airy like the wings. So I'm placing the lines and then I'm taking the harshness of them off with paper towel. And with those lines placed, I'm now doing the really light legs underneath. So I just continue to paint and take away with the paper towel until I get the right amount of lightness under the wing, but also definition. And there he is, our beautiful little honeybee, all finished. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I had so much fun creating it for you. I love this little bee. And for more watercolor tips, tricks, and tutorials, follow me right here on YouTube. I hope you have a fantastic day.